Good morning. I'm about to call Cheryl. Happy, let's see, Thursday. I promised that I'd go live every Tuesday and Thursday from 11 to 11:30, or if I'm doing an interview, it could go to 12. Anyway, this is really close up of my face, but that's all right. That's all right. You guys know what I look like. And it's really funny. I've talked to a lot of women that I want to interview, and a lot of people, a lot of women don't want to be interviewed unless their hair or their makeup is fun. I guess like my last video I did, I didn't care so much about my makeup. I cared more about talking to you because Judy wasn't. Uh, we couldn't get her online, and that had to do with what is that new the meeting app there that is not good. YouTube doesn't want anything to do with it. They'll deal with Skype, but they won't deal with the FaceTime, or not FaceTime, is it? Not FaceTime. Anyway, I obviously am confused. Well, I'm going to call Cheryl now and start this interview. There. All right. So, I wanted to tell you, this morning I got on the side of my bed and I sneezed. Oh my gosh, that hurt. That hurt so much. All right, let me see. I think Cheryl is with. Oh, I see. There she is. Okay. I sneezed. That broken rib. Um, I hope you can hear. Let me turn this all the way up. All right, if you have any questions to ask, type them out.
Hello?
Hi, Cheryl.
Yes,
It's Dulci. How are you?
I'm fine this morning. How are you?
I am well. I am well. These poor people have to look at my face while I talk to you. There, and it's awful. Your beautiful face should be right next to mine. Uh,
Well, sorry about that, but
I understand. I understand. Well, I'd like to interview you, do some questions, and maybe you can answer. Cheryl is the administrator of MS Frontiers Primary Progressive. So she's a leader as far as encouraging people with the disease. And one wonderful thing about her, she's my hero in that she has taught me how resilient anyone can be with the disease, and she has with Cheryl, it's two steps back, one step forward. Is that right, Cheryl?
yeah, 3 steps back.
now
um, um,
now
okay,
Cheryl, how old are you? Tell everybody about yourself.
I'm 70. Well, I almost said this. No, this is still, oh no, it's April. Gee whiz. Well, next month I'll be 72. And I was stricken with MS when I was 29.
That's a long time.
And unknowing to me, I had secondary MS. When I think back on it, I had secondary MS, but didn't know it. Especially in those days, doctors, had very few neurologists to go to, and they were just neurologists, not MS specialists. And they didn't even have an MRI. That was not invented yet. And the CAT scan was 1977. So, yeah. And so the CAT scan had just come out. And it wasn't even in the hospitals, as I recall. The ambulance had to take you to a site that had the CAT scan available to different hospitals for their patients to go to. Oh, I can laugh about it now when I think about how far we've come.
Isn't it amazing? One of the things that I think about is that you were, and I went to this MS talk with this doctor, and this doctor talked about active aggressive MS, which is what I have. It's relapsing remitting alongside of secondary chronic progressive, and that is only relapsing remit. The secondary chronic progressive is the stuff that the attacks I had, that the exposed areas 10 to 20 years ago. So with you there, you had this. Did it come on as relapsing remitting? Because this neurologist I talked to said that primary progressive, she prefers to treat that because it is more of a stable disease, and it goes down. You become disabled slowly over a longer period of time, but it's not like a dramatic attack like what happens with sometimes with relapsing remitting.
Correct. And what happened to me was when the ABC drugs came out, the Avonex, the Benafuron, and the Copaxone. By this time, all right, let me back up. I had none of the doctors. I lived in New Jersey at the time, and none of the doctors at the hospitals there knew what I had, and they said I was making it up, and I'm quite sure other people have had the same stories. And I was teaching at that time in New York City. So I had to commute over to George Washington Bridge. We had just bought the house in New Jersey, and the kids were young, and the husband was working, and, so my life was quite busy, and looking for attention with a third grade class of like 35 students in Manhattan was nothing that I was seeking, looking for attention. And I remember falling in the subway station. I once I took the class on a field trip, and you know how the parents will go with you to help you out. And we went to this place where they made pottery, and we went down some steps to where the clay was, and it was quite cold down there, and the kids had a lot of fun in being shown how to make, a vase, and it was hands-on. So we were down there quite a while, and I was standing the whole time, and didn't realize, walking from one kid to the next, and then when it was over, the parent took the third graders up the steps first, and I stayed last to make sure there were no lost ones around. And then the lady who was giving the presentation of the ceramics said to me, "You should be ashamed of yourself." And my mouth fell open. I looked at her and went, what are you talking about? And she said, "How dare you come to school drunk?"
Oh my God.
I got so angry with her that I just, don't say anything good. If you can't say anything good, don't say anything bad. And with that, I just turned on my heels and went up the steps to my class, and we left. That was the first time anyone. And then I had other, then I had other signals, like when you're walking your class down the hall and you stay to one side so that the other classes, like a car,
Yeah.
you know, the traffic, you stay on the right side. Well, not only would my class be on the right side when we were going in that direction, but they would follow me. I stayed close to the wall. I didn't know it. They were like little ducks behind me.
Isn't it sweet? Now, how long from your diagnosis till you found you had the first attack that kind of disabled you? Like you started walking drunk. How long did you have MS before you started progressing into more challenging physical difficulties?
Okay, it was sudden. I had a myelogram. Somebody said, go to the New York hospital. They're better. And I made an appointment and went to Columbia Presbyterian. And of course, like I said, you know, they didn't have anything sophisticated to really tell what you had. I walked into the hospital holding my husband's arm. No cane, nothing on the other side of me. I just needed that support to hold on to on one side. And I was standing up straight, and we walked in, and my husband said, and it was a long walk from the parking where we parked, and my husband said, as soon as we got in, she needs a wheelchair. I never owned a wheelchair, but he knew. He said, she needs a wheelchair. So it was one of those Roosevelt, Franklin D. Roosevelt wheelchairs with the net backing made out of like straw in the back with wood. It was that old. Anyway, I sat in a wheelchair. I laughed the whole time. I couldn't believe they still had those around.
How long from when you were diagnosed did that happen?
Okay. They admitted me, and they wanted to do this myelogram test. I don't know if you know what a myelogram test is, but they stick a needle in your spine. They cannot give you anesthesia because they insert iodine into the needle. And the table turns with your head facing down at some point. And when your head is down, then they'll tell you to lift your head up because they don't want the iodine to go into your brain.
I remember that.
Well, after that procedure, I could not walk again. And I didn't know it. I came out of that test I was on a gurney. My husband said I was green. I was so sick looking. I was throwing up. And then I remember getting a room. And I got up to go to the bathroom like I would normally do. And I went sliding straight across the floor. That's when I knew I couldn't walk.
Do you think it was, Cheryl, do you think it was MS or do you think it was iodine poisoning?
No. It was an iodine poisoning because none went into my brain.
Oh, it wasn't iodine poisoning. How long after you were diagnosed? Was that like the following year or 5 years?
No, that was the diagnosis. The diagnosis came back that I had a protein level of 13 or over 13, and that was their and that was their red flag that I had multiple sclerosis.
I see. I know we've got a question here from Summer that says that let's see, she wants to know how long you progressed. Did you stop progressing? But I want to assure that everybody's MS, including primary progressive MS, is individualized, and some people slowly progress, and it may take 20 or 30 years for them to become really in bad shape. People with relapsing remitting, I've had it for almost 40 years there, and this coronavirus has caused me not to swim, so I've gained 5 pounds, and also I'm not using my legs as much, so my left side is so weak that the left side won't hold me up. So just to answer your question, it just because Cheryl describes it happening to her in this interview, she's going to talk about herself, doesn't necessarily mean it applies to you. So I want you guys to be able to listen to her, and just, it's one person's experience with a type of MS that it's been scary for her, and she's going to continue to tell us about that. So I see people, there's a chat thing going on, and people can ask questions, and they're talking about the spinal tap you had in order to get that iodine, and where it goes. But now in 1993, the first medication was approved, and there was a lottery. It was beta seron. There was a lottery for people who weren't associated with the Air Force like I was, so I got it right away. But other people got a lottery number so they could take this. Were you in that lottery?
No. I went from Avonex that did not agree with me at all, straight to Copaxone, which I was on for quite a while, and it did well with me. I ended up with physical therapy. I was able to then never really stop using the wheelchair, but I was able to use a walker, and on really good days, as long as the walk wasn't too far, I could use those Canadian crutches that go around the arms, that go around the ribs.
Yeah.
And you hold on to it with your hand. And I was able to use that in short distance as well. So we had a colonial home, and I always kept my wheelchair at the bottom of the steps. And the bedrooms were all upstairs, and the bathroom was upstairs. And I didn't need it upstairs. I didn't need a wheelchair upstairs. I only needed it downstairs because the kitchen, I was cooking, and of course, living room and getting around. So, once upstairs and I had my bed and the bathroom, that's all I needed. I was able to, go into the kids' room, and I worked and I drove from Englewood, New Jersey to Wall Street. I never went back to teaching. It was just way too much for me to do.
Yeah, it's stressful. It's a stressful occupation. I taught second grade 1 year, and it was the worst year of my life. Yeah, I also taught high school and college, and I got to tell you, the older they get, the more they can entertain themselves.
Exactly.
So that it was a lot easier.
Big time. So I drove. I mean, I loved it. I loved working as an underwriter, and then I became an underwriter manager at AIG.
I have a question right here. Are you still progressing, or has it leveled off?
With this latest episode that I had December 12th, 1990, no, I'm just kidding. December 12th of right before Christmas, 2019, I fell and I broke my femur. And I fell right here in the bedroom. And in breaking my femur bone, which is what, the largest and the
your thigh bone. Yeah, your thigh.
Yeah, my thigh bone is that's the bone that carries your whole body. Well, that normally takes 4 months to heal and get better for the normal person. Well, I just had my 3-month checkup. I'm doing well. And the surgeon said to me, well, okay, you're halfway there. I went, excuse me. He said, now you can put a little more than 50% of your weight bearing on that leg, as much as you can tolerate. So then she said, and then I want to see you in a month. So my husband said to her, well, when will she really be better? And she said, oh, in Cheryl's case, another 3 months, maybe 4 months. I went, what? So, yeah. So what this did to me was put me in stress that I thought I had conquered from the initial fall. And I just had to call my neurologist yesterday and ask him, and ask him for prednisone. Now, that might seem somewhat contradictory to what I should be having, especially, I didn't tell you guys, I have osteoporosis. So why are you taking prednisone? Well, one of the reasons I've had osteoporosis is because back when I lived in New Jersey, one of the treatments was solumedrol. And I wrote about this in my PPS group, to be very careful about that, because I was going to a hospital that had doctors that did nothing but specialize in MS, and yet it was still too early for them to note that the solumedrol would eventually give me osteoporosis. So my bone density is very thin.
All right. Well, there's a couple things that came to mind when you were sharing. First of all, if you remember, I broke my left leg. Well, it was this. I fell, and it was a spasticity. It was I fractured my shin vertically there because I landed with a straight leg there, and it took. Whereas normally it takes 6 months, and they couldn't cast it because of the way it broke. It took me, having secondary chronic progressive, oh gosh, it took me pretty much 11 months to get over, and I still wear my knee brace because occasionally it hurts my knee. My calf jammed into my femur and it broke. So, osteoporosis is, a lot of them are talking about osteoporosis and steroids. And back in the 90s, they used to treat us big time with steroids. And steroids, they discovered it compromises, it increases your blood sugar. So it's bad with diabetes, and it also compromises your bones. The test that your gynecologist tends to order, it's a DEXA scan, and it's typically in the same place that you get a mammogram. So what you can do is you call your doctor and call your neurologist. Also, your neurologist can order a DEXA scan there. Your general practitioner, a DEXA scan. So you talked about, Cheryl, you talked about breaking your femur and having the trauma of that kind of activate your disease a little bit. Did you have new symptoms?
What it did, and what I'm going through right now, is MS fatigue. I have been in bed, falling asleep, off and on, while I'm eating. 2 days ago, I was in the kitchen and I thought I was watching TV, with my husband, and next thing I know, I'm in the bedroom and he's picking me up, putting me in the bed because I was in the kitchen asleep again. I just cannot, and this is after having a full night's sleep. I sleep very well, and the reason why I'm sleeping very well now, unlike a lot of times when I couldn't, and a lot of people with MS have a hard time asleep. They found out when I did have this femur broken that my oxygen level when I sleep, it goes down to 70. It's supposed to be in the 90s at all times.
Oh my word.
So I now sleep with oxygen.
A CPAP. A CPAP.
No, regular. I don't have that. I have the regular thing that goes in the nose with the oxygen tank. We keep it in the bathroom and make so much noise. So we have an ensuite right off the bedroom.
Now, Cheryl, you described Cobb Fog and extreme fatigue. And Jane, you would know Jane through our MS Frontiers medical support. You know Jane. Anyway, Jane talks about that being her worst symptom. I remember early on when I was student teaching, before I was diagnosed, I got so tired, and I would, during my lunch breaks, I'd go to the closest place that had a bed. Sometimes it was the nurse's office, sometimes any place, and I'd leave a phone number. It was a landline, and I'd fall asleep. I was so tired. That was my worst symptom. That was back in the late 80s there, and I didn't even know I had MS. Now it's a terrible symptom to have. You say you had that. Is this a recurring symptom, or is this a new symptom for you?
No, it's recurring, but I haven't had it in a while. So now even with the oxygen on at night, I'm not tired. I'm still fatigued. I'm extremely fatigued, and I'm wondering if it's because of the physical therapy that I get here at home. I'm wondering if it's doing too much, because in my heart of hearts, I want so badly. I can't tell you how much I call my leg that I broke, my bionic leg. because in 2010 I broke my tibia. So I have a rod going from my ankle to my hip thigh to all the way up to my hip. 2 different rods and titanium rods, and I'm really, really praying that this is a bionic leg once everything heals.
And you can run faster and stronger like Jaime Sommers, the bionic one. I know.
Yep, you got it.
Yeah, there's a lot of people who don't know Jaime Sommers. That was on TV when I was a kid, and that was the bionic woman. It was a woman who had physically survived. Well, she almost died from a. Was that where she did the sky? She did she jumped out of an airplane and the parachute didn't open, or was that Steve Austin? I don't know. But she was so injured, and they rebuilt her body, and half of it was mechanical, and she was better. They put a fake eye in there that could see.
Right.
And in fact, it's funny you say that, Cheryl. Bionic. I often ask them to make me bionic. I asked them last year when I broke my femur. I said, "Can you take it off and give me a bionic leg?" And now I'm dealing with the broken rib. So coughing or sneezing is insane. It hurts. But anyway, but back to the fatigue. That fatigue, I've described it. People without MS don't know what that fatigue is. And fatigue is when you wake up and you feel you're so tired, you feel like it's 2 o'clock in the morning and you woke up for a second. You're almost disoriented. You're so tired. Watching paint dry on the wall takes too much energy. But sometimes, like I'm such a hyper person, I can't sleep because I'm afraid my brain thinks it'll miss something. But I can't sleep, but I can't do anything. It's hell. It's hell.
It is. Sometimes I remember when I was on another site before I joined yours, I would get on it in the wee hours of the morning, and I would say, "Is anybody up?" I was just going to talk to someone, and lo and behold, somebody, 3 2 people, "I'm up," and we would just, text one another. Oh God!
Yeah,
that we have to go through.
It's bizarre because sometimes at 2 in the morning, if you wake up, you find yourself more wide awake than you are at when you get up in the morning. It's bizarre, and getting out of bed sometimes is the hardest thing to do because it means that you're committing to having a day, a day of energy. I've got to find purpose in this day.
Exactly. But aside from the MS fatigue, to tell you the truth, my whole purpose is to get better. I don't know how much better. I don't know where it's going to lead me, but I'm so tired of. I've had MS 42 years, and I have to tell you, there was a point, and I didn't realize it until I fell in December, but there was a point that I gave up. I'm telling everybody else not to give up and to hold on and be strong, but I have to admit that looking back on it now and seeing where I am today, I wasn't like this before.
What do you mean?
calling my phone. I don't know who. I'm sorry about that.
We can't hear anything. But
Okay.
what
What I meant was I never gave up hope. Okay, I always believed, but in the deep crevices of my fiber that I feel now, I didn't have that. It was a prayerful hope. But see, you were swimming. I couldn't do any of that, Dulci, after I had such bad UTIs. I would go to the pool all the time. I loved it, and it made me feel so. It made me feel like I had something that I was going to get better and to reach for. And I don't know.
Well,
it kind of went away after I was. I can tell you now. I'm stuttering, trying to get these words out. But it kind of went away when I could no longer do anything physical. Does that make any sense? So here I am sitting in my 3-year-old motorized wheelchair where I couldn't drive anymore. Driving was now I know how really older people feel when they can't drive anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And then and the children are saying, "Mom, Dad, no, you can't drive anymore," and they fuss me about it. Once I couldn't drive anymore, that was totally the last straw that took away my independence. And to wait on someone to either pick you up or take you, or that wasn't me. When I was working, I was driving to Wall Street and parking. This is before 9/11, and would be parking at Newark Airport, going on business trips.
Well, Cheryl, one of the things you bring up is, and it's true with MS, and they're saying this all the time, if we don't exercise, if we don't do physical therapy, if we don't stand for a second, use it or lose it. And I know now with this being isolated there, I don't, I don't know how people find time to do anything in the day because doing squats, remember I did the doorknob squats and just holding yourself up. I looked at my canvas strap and I said, yesterday I tried to do a side lunge and I ended up falling because that left leg is so weak. So I've got to demand push some strength into it. Are you, even with this primary progressive, you came back where you shared with me you could transfer yourself to the commode by yourself. Can you still come back with physical therapy? Can you get stronger with any of the any physical therapy exercises?
I'm sorry. I'm going to make a video of it and post it. And I will share it. I can't wait. But I am able to stand holding on to a grab bar that I had we had the house built, I said, instead of it being all towel racks, put a grab bar here by the window so I can stand up here if I ever get the opportunity. So my physical therapist and I have been doing that. And I've done it twice. And I was thrilled beyond compare. And last Tuesday, what's today, Thursday? Okay, so not this past Tuesday, a week ago Thursday, so it's a week now, I wanted to do it again, but of course Cheryl overdoes things, and I couldn't stand up. And I said, maybe I was, not sitting properly before I stood up, so let's try it again. And we tried it a second time, and that didn't feel right. So I said, okay, I sit back down. We did it about 5 times.
Were you
I put too much strain on my knee, and the next day it blew up. It swelled up big. So finally, my husband had come in here because my therapist is on his way. But my knee looks like it's finally going down somewhat. Even when my physical therapist arrives, I am not going to be standing today. It needs more rest. I learned my lesson. But I will get back there. And my goal is to not just stand, but I would like to praise God if He's listening. I would like to take a couple of steps, which I have not done. Oh God, Dulci, I haven't walked. I can't remember. Everything has been transferring, pivoting and transferring. I cannot remember the last time I walked.
Well, half of it has to do with your injury. So but what you've given us is the ability to have hope that no matter what type of MS you have, that or how bad, how long you've had it, raindrops make oceans, and you may not be able to stand up all the time, but if you can do that every once in a while, you can build resilience, you can build stamina, you can build strength, and slowly be able to have that freedom just for a minute. It's like the DMV gives you your driver's license back for a minute. You can be free to transfer by yourself, and that's got to be so exciting. So exciting.
Yes. Like the first time I was able to go into my shower, and I had on all my clothes. And my occupational therapist came over and she goes, okay, so let's see if we can maneuver the shower. And it was a wheelchair into the shower, but it didn't go all the way. And then I had to kind of like do a bump over into the shower chair. And she said, okay. And then she's in the shower with me. Oh. Thank God I have a large shower. And she says, okay, you almost got it. Bump over a little more. And I bumped over a little more. And she goes, okay, one more. And I did a little more, bump over. But she calls it bump over. Then really like you're sitting and you're just hopping over with your body, until you get into the right position. And then she said, okay, you're there. And I went, oh, this is so wonderful. She said, so now you know how you can get in here. She said, sure. And I said, oh, no, you're not going anywhere. I'm taking a shower right now. I took off all my clothes. I put that shower on top of my head with my She had to run out of the shower. That was a funny day.
That is funny.
Oh,
Now, one person is asking, what site do you use to talk to people at 2 in the morning?
oh, that was, I think it was called I'm Fabulous. Something about Fabulous.
Fabulous. I'm fabulous.
And so are you, or something. It's been years since I've been on that one.
Yeah, you know what? In fact, if you join Facebook, you can start a 2 in the morning. I think there on Facebook there was a two in middle of the night group you could join that if you didn't sleep, and it was people with that multiple sclerosis that would chat in the middle of the night, and if they didn't, so there are groups. There are also you can get on join MS Frontiers and join Primary Progressive and reach out to other people with the disease in that private group. Nobody sees that you're in any of these groups there. But anyway, Cheryl, it's been first of all, I got a couple more questions for you. Do you take any disease modifying medications now?
No. I tried Rituxan, and it started giving me headaches. So I stopped doing that. And then I tried chemotherapy.
Which chemotherapy?
Oh boy. You caught me off guard.
Navantron?
No.
Okay.
You caught me off guard.
Well, that's all right. And it
but it wasn't Navantron. But it was
methotrexate.
That sounds more familiar. But I was too afraid to go back. I couldn't. The fear of having chemotherapy didn't sit right with me. So I just told my neurologist, no, I'm not doing this.
You tend to take these preventive medications to stop an acute attack from happening. If you are, it doesn't really show to stop progression, but it shows to stop an acute attack. So that's why I'm on rituximab there to prevent me from having new attacks that the damage I have in 20 years will end up it could return. So that's not really good. But the good thing is that a lot of people who have been diagnosed will never know how bad it can get. They won't, it just, gone are the days of you and me. When we started, we didn't have any choice. You were first treated probably in either the late 80s or early 90s, Avonex. Probably early 90s because Avonex didn't come around. It was a different type of interferon. It didn't happen until the 90s. Copaxone was the second medication. I was in that test study, study group too. Used to be called copolymer 2. And I was in that there. But anyway, is there anything else you want to share with anybody before
Yes, I would like to tell everyone, and they've heard this before, we're snowflakes, and what works for one person may not work for another, but what we do have in common are the things that have helped us stay in a positive mode, which is love, and if we're lucky enough, family and friends, and don't let go of those things. Because I'm going to tell you, if it wasn't for the love of my family, I don't know what I would do. I've had friends who did not have that support, but they found it elsewhere, and now they're doing much better. So I'll say it again: never give up, because the master plan is never revealed to us until it's supposed to. Now, if I had given up 42 years, 43 years with this, if I had given up when I lost my complete independence, oh my goodness, I would have missed out on so many great things that have happened since then. Celebration on the ship. Thank God it was on the ship with this coronavirus. Oh my God! But celebration on a ship with our entire family for our 50th wedding anniversary, sitting at the captain's table the whole time. Oh my gosh, that was absolutely to die for. I don't want to use those words like that, but you know what I mean. And when was it? Oh my gosh, I think we were celebrating our 35th anniversary, and the two of us went to Tahiti, and we only stayed a day in Tahiti. We took small planes to Moorea and Bora Bora. Wow, was that fantastic. I think that was our most fabulous trip.
That is wonderful. But listen, I hate to cut this short, but I've been, we only do this for an hour, and I've got to close it up. And right now we've got 6 minutes. So I've got to just sum up some things. Thank you, Cheryl. Thank you so much for sharing your experience, strength, and hope with us. And wow, just what a great interview. Thank you. God bless you. And as you said, Romans 8:28, all things work together for the purpose, for good, according to God's will. And you are a living, breathing example of this. Thank you so much, Cheryl. All right.
Okay. God bless you all.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Okay, a couple things I want to say here now that the interview is over there. Cheryl talked about chemotherapy. Typically, people with MS, we don't get chemotherapy. It's called chemotherapy, but it's a monoclonal antibody. Rituximab and Ocrevus kill only one specific cell. Portion. It's called a CD. It's a cluster, cell cluster on your cells. It's CD 19 and 20. You don't lose your hair because it's not radical chemotherapy. It's like methotrexate. You really, we like to be dramatic and you say chemotherapy, but it's not chemo. It's not. It's very benign. There, it makes you more at risk of getting an infection, only because these two things, these CD19 and 20, help detect infections, antibodies, but it also prevents our cells from seeing the myelin as being an antibody. So you got to be careful in thinking that. Now the CCSVI, they use radical chemotherapy, like probably Lisa, like your aunt said, they have to tear your immune system down. People who have this lose their hair, and there's a very good chance, not a good chance, but there is a chance they're going to die of this radical chemotherapy. They have to destroy all immune system, all bone marrow, and all in order to introduce healthy bone marrow into your body. So and that healthy bone marrow supposedly won't have MS in it. There, so I want to let you know that again, chemotherapy is not, it's not what we get. Even when I did Nivontran, which is actually chemotherapy, it didn't cause me to lose my hair. I don't think they give people Nivontran anymore. There, you can only do 4 because it compromises your heart. There, let's see. Chris, I'm sorry that you've got worse on Ocrevus. The fact is that there had been some studies that Ocrevus could prevent the progression of MS, but that's not. It's not true on everybody. They're doing so much to repair the myelin sheath. They discovered that with mice. So that is our hope. That is, to reverse the damage. I'm waiting for that too. There, so don't worry. Now, what Cheryl had talked about being PPMS, Chris, is she talked about being able to use it to do the physical therapy and gain some of her abilities back. So don't, I known this because when I had my catastrophic attack, and I sat down, the more I stayed my scooter, the less likely I could walk. So every time I use my walker, I can actually walk. I walk better when I force myself to walk. Uh, some people, Lisa, some people lose their hair on beta seron. Some people, as Cheryl talked about, it being a snowflake disease. I think everybody's a snowflake. Some people have problems when they take aspirin. So I don't think it was a different chemo. Well, in the 80s it was. They weren't doing the monoclonal chemos. It was they used the same chemotherapy that is used in leukemia, chronic leukemia, and MS. And the reason why they use that is because it's the same exact lymphocyte, same cell that goes cancerous, doubles and doubles and doubles, and leukemia is the same one that's responsible for going crazy in MS there. Again, I was diagnosed in 2003, and I study this stuff there. So, you're welcome to go to msfrontiers.org and send me an email. Again, dulcigene@gmail.com. And Chris, what you're saying is fantastic, because that is the answer to spasticity. If you wake up, you don't have that baclofen in your system. You take a baclofen and you get up, and you have to stretch. I've done videos. If you try walking before you stretch out that spasticity there, you can fall. You're too rigid. You got to stretch out that rigidity there. That's why it's so critical that we work on that. We stretch. In fact, it's more important for us to stretch than do anything else. Although we should lift weights and we should do all that kind of stuff too, but stretch. Anyway, any less, I got one more minute here. Actually, it says 60 minutes there. I will remind you that on Tuesday, next Tuesday, at 11 o'clock, be here. Damian Lewis, you should be able to do a split screen, and he is alive. He is fun. There's a lot of joking. So be here for this live show. And he's got relapsing remitting. He's only been diagnosed for 3 years. So we're gonna walk a little bit in his world. It'll be fun. It's so much more fun. Anyway, God bless you. Thank you so much for tuning in, and keep coming back. Again, go to msfrontiers.org, and thank you for subscribing. Bye.